Welcome back to Show and Teller. I'm so happy that I get to be here today with all of you. And our guest today is incredible. Hands down, amazing. And as I say, almost every episode, we try to bring on people who are making a difference in our community, people who are pushing the limits, people who have a story, people who have wisdom, people who have insight, people who can help the viewership. And I can't think of anybody who is better than our guest today, other than Mrs. Devorah Kigel, dating and relationship and international speaker, who is joining us today here on Show and Teller.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
It's
very excited. And we're in the same network of people, Rabbi Rebbitzin, international speaker. We work in an industry where we educate young people, bring young people closer to Torah, to God, to mitzvot. And I've known Mrs. Kigel now for many years, and we have the opportunity. She's here in LA, and I said, you got to come on. And she was like, perfect.
I'm there.
So happy you can be here.
Pleasure.
So Mrs. Kigel, if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, not the whole backstory,
right,
but tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got to being the dating, relationship, international speaker that you are.
So first of all, I was painfully shy as a kid. So for anyone out there who thinks like, I'm just not cut out for this, I really feel like when there's a job to be done, God helps you to have the tools necessary. So I was newly married, living on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and I looked around the Upper West Side and at all of these like organizations, and I saw rabbi, and no women speaking. And I had been like a very big feminist before I became more observant. And I thought to myself, gosh, if prior me from a few years ago had walked into one of those organizations and seen that there's no women teaching, I would have thought like, yep, chauvinistic religion, just like I thought. So I just thought that to myself, like, oh, that's a shame. Chaval, as we say in Hebrew. Literally 2 days later, one of these organizations called me and said, we really want to have like a women's Torah class. Could you teach it? And I was like religious for 5 minutes. I was like, you've got to have someone better qualified than me. Like, what are you talking about? They're like, no, we want you. So that was the beginning of my teaching career. That was 24 years ago. And it's just built on itself. I think that given my unique background of growing up completely secular, atheist, to like really disconnected from Judaism and having a train wreck of a dating life, I was uniquely suited to be relatable to these women on the Upper West Side of Manhattan and just really get them and be non-judgmental and just share with them what I had learned. So that was kind of the beginning. And I think it's the Lubavitcher Rebbe who says that when you see something in the world that needs perfecting, it's God sending you a text message that you need to be part of the solution. So I really see the, what we call hashgacha pratit, the like hand of God, that he just was like, here, you, this is what we want you to do. So that was kind of the beginning, and it slowly built on itself. I was a stay-at-home mom primarily with my 4 kids. So I would teach, a few classes a year. It wasn't a big deal. And then like as each child went to school for kindergarten, God just like sent me more speaking gigs. It just sort of built on itself. And then 13 years ago, my youngest child went to kindergarten. And I said to myself, okay, I finally have some disposable time on my hands for the first time in many years. What's my skill set? Master's in French, useless. Okay, what else could I do? Oh, you know what? I'm already mentoring some of these students in dating. Maybe I should get trained as a dating coach. And this was way before this was popular. 13 years ago, people were like, what's a dating coach? Now it's like more in the lexicon. But at the time, I was just like, well, I could have used myself. I had a broken engagement 3 months before I met my husband. I could really have used someone helping me through this journey. So I called someone who is a dating coach and a therapist. She trained me, and I hung a shingle and started. That was 13 years ago. We just hit number 362.
Wow.
Clients married to the right person. So it, again, just built on itself. I don't do a lot of advertising. I mean, I am on social media, but other than that, I don't really like advertise it, but it's word of mouth. So, one girl will get engaged and then she'll tell her friends and her sisters and her cousins and, her people in her community, and it just kind of builds on itself. So that's really how I got started in dating coaching. As we know, as married people, just getting to the chuppah with the right person you're in the game now, but now the work begins. So I do some marriage coaching, not as much, but I give a lot of classes on marriage. I worked very hard on my own marriage, so I bring a lot of personal stories that are entertaining and funny to illustrate, the tips that matter most in marriage. So that's like most of what I spend my time doing. I also speak a lot for high schools. I channel my inner teenager, and I really love, that's probably my favorite gig, actually, is speaking to high school girls across the country, and mostly modern Orthodox high schools. I really relate to the girls. We vibe very well, and I tell them things that no one else will tell them. And that's why the principal brings me in. They're like, we want you to address the issue of boys. This is what you need to speak about. So I'm like, okay, great. We're going to talk about that. And I am very plain with them. I'm very upfront, and the girls appreciate it. And I've had girls reach out to me they finished high school, they went to Israel for their gap year, they came home, they remember that I'm a dating coach, they reach out, get a little advice on dating. A girl came up to me at a wedding with a wig, married, and she's like, I want you to know I heard you twice at Katz High School in Boca Raton. It made such an impact on me that I decided to date Shomer, which means without the physical, and I decided to become more religious, and now I'm married, and I just wanted to give you some nachas. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you Hashem that I'm in this position. And there were probably other people I don't know about. She said I wasn't going to come up to you. I felt shy. I'm like, I'm so happy you came up to me. I don't know what I'm doing. I just get up there and I speak. I have no idea the impact that's happening. So it was really just Hashem blowing me a kiss that, you're doing good work and keep it up. Because it's hard it's been a lot of years I've been doing this. And sometimes it's should I keep doing this? Should I keep going to high schools? And then I get a message like that. I'm like, okay, fine.
Amazing.
I'll keep going.
So Mrs. Kigel, you forgot to say that you're now an esteemed author. Maybe you can show,
Yes.
What is it called?
Pick it up at Amazon. Marry a Mensch, Timeless Jewish Wisdom for Today's Single Woman. This is my 5th baby. There was no epidural. It was very hard to write a book. It was years in the making. This could never have happened if my kids were still at home. This was just a, act 2 of our life project. I wanted something that could condense a lot of the practical tips that I use in my coaching in an affordable format. So for $17 on Amazon, you can pick up this book and get tons and tons of information. I've had at least 2, if not 3 women reach out to me over the course of the last year since I published it, saying that they didn't even need my one-on-one coaching. They read the book and they got married to the right person. I was like, this is why I did it. It was a labor of love. It was very challenging to write a book and get it published by a real publisher as opposed to self-publishing. And thank God, it's helping people. So stay tuned for the sequel. A lot of guys are like, we want a book. Where's the guy's book? So I'm gonna have
Marry
to
the Menschette.
Actually, I thought be a Mensch.
Okay, there you go. I like that.
So, but I have to do this in collab with my husband and sons because I can't 100% understand the male brain, and it's gonna have to be a group effort.
You don't understand the male brain yet after
Not entirely.
20 something years of marriage?
It's a mysterious place.
Okay. So this seems like a good segue. I have, as a rabbi, you as a international speaker, dating coach, a lot of people come up to me. I work with individuals in their late 20s, 30s, early 40s, and they're not married yet. And they come to me with many different complaints and many different reasons as to why the dating world is awful. Mm-hmm. And we could probably name a few right now. But as a dating coach, I'd like to hear what you have to say is what's contributing to so many singles being single right now, and what is contributing to the fact that they're not married, and is it one particular problem or is it multiple problems? So just curious to hear your answer.
I think it's a whole bunch of different things. I'll address a couple. And it's also different what world you're dating in. Are you in more of the secular dating scene or the religious dating scene? I have clients across the board. I have secular women that I work with, all the way to Beis Yaakov at a couple Hasidic girls. It was a quicker process, and everything in between, Sephardi, Ashkenazi, all ages, second marriages, etc. So it depends on the genre that you're dating in, what the obstacles are to overcome. But I do think that in our age of social media, dating apps, etc., we live in a world that is very focused on image. How tall is he? How much money does he make? How pretty is she? Is she a size 0? It's very imagey, and honestly, at the end of the day, that's really not what's going to sustain a marriage. We want to be looking primarily for someone who has A, good character, and B, similar goals and values to ourselves. But that's kind of lost in the shuffle of social media and apps. So I actually saw on a podcast that a woman was saying that basically on a lot of the apps, you can put in your qualifications to like filter, right? So a lot of women will put over 6 feet. Okay, first of all, in the Jewish population, that's probably not a good idea. But even so, let's just say there's a guy who's 5'10", or in our world, 5'7", who is a fabulous guy and literally meets everything that you're looking for. But because you put your qualifications in as different, you're literally not going to know he exists. So she was articulating that the apps have created this situation where we're potentially missing our person because we put in these criteria that are really superficial. Obviously, no one's saying that...
Pigeonholing yourself.
Yeah, you're putting artificial constraints on that maybe wouldn't matter in the long run. Many women ask me, don't you need to be attracted? Of course you have to be attracted. But you don't know in advance. Sometimes we have a type in our head that we think that's kind of the physical look that we're going to need, or the professional, qualifications that he should have. And maybe God has your person picked out and he's a little bit different than that. And now you're not allowing yourself to find him because you have these artificial, filters in place. So I think that the apps have definitely done a number on us. Social media in general is like just very like filtered and, posed and like not real. I don't necessarily think there's enough like organic, healthy places to meet people, particularly for the more religious population. We're so segregated that it's come down to like resumes. And again, a resume is just a fact sheet. You can't see the soul there, so there are definitely couples, like lots of couples that I know of, that have said to me, had someone suggested this person to me, or I had seen their resume or heard about them, I never would have said yes. But because we were introduced organically, or we met at an event, so I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cute and he's so fun and he's like matching what I'm looking for. Okay, he's a little bit shorter than I thought I was going to end up with, or he's in a different cultural background than I thought I was going to end up with. But like they end up falling in love and getting married. So I think that we need to create more opportunities for couples to meet, obviously in a kosher, safe way, but like, organically. I have a client of mine who is divorced. She was briefly married, and she gets like, what's that called? Blacklisted, because she was briefly married. Meanwhile, when she goes to an event,
almost like
it's like a scarlet letter.
Yeah, scarlet letter.
Like,
or an impurity on her.
Yeah, it's like a stain on her. Meanwhile, like she was a really good girl. She just made one mistake and married the wrong person. She's not someone who, did a lot of stuff. But meanwhile, when she goes to an event, she can kind of sell herself. And so guys will come up to her and want to speak to her and have an enjoyable conversation and then want to ask her out. So I don't think we have enough opportunities like that. I know there's a recent campaign to make these shidduch lounges in different religious communities so that there is a more organic, chilled out way to meet people. And obviously it's curated, so it's like by different ages or different hashkafa or level of Judaism. But to have it be only resumes and you're so dependent on the matchmakers, I think is a mistake. We veered a little bit off course. So that's one thing that I think is inhibiting us. I do think that, again, I only coach women unless she wants me to meet the guy that she's dating, in which case I'll meet him on Zoom or whatever. But I think for women, we've watched a lot of movies, Disney, romantic comedies. I have a whole chapter in my book on this. And we expect that when we meet the right person, we will be struck by lightning and immediately, oh my gosh, and know, okay, this is my person. That is rare. it's a gift from God if it happens, and it happens much more to men than women. We have a whole theory about this. But for women, it generally is not instantaneous. And so a lot of women will say to me, I don't know, I've been out like 3, 4, 5 times with this person, and I don't know, I just thought I would know by now. And I'm like, where did you read that? You know? Like,
Disney.
Yeah, Disney, exactly. So my favorite Disney movie of all time is Enchanted. And I don't know if you saw this movie, it's like my favorite movie of all time. But she falls from the tree into the prince's arms. They've never met, they never spoke before. And he says, we will be married in the morning. And they sail off into the sunset. Now, Enchanted, Disney is making fun of itself, which makes it clever. And then the movie gets very dark after that. But this is what we have been brainwashed on, like all of us as a youth, to even if subconsciously you're like, I don't believe that. But subconsciously you're like, oh, I should just know right away. So I have tons of women from all stripes and all religious backgrounds who say to me, I just thought I would know right away. And I always tell them, like, that's not true. And you may be breaking up with your husband because you have this expectation that you're going to know right away. Now, in my informal research, everyone should do their own research on this, but every man that I've spoken to in my entire life, other than one, and it was not my husband, one guy that was dating my client, every man I've ever spoken to said they knew that they were dating their wife within 5 minutes to 2 dates. Every single one. So my husband has a very cute Devorah Torah idea about this, that, there's a concept that women were given like extra intuition. It's called Bina Yetera in their creation. That's like what makes us such a great, it's very advantageous as a mother, right? Like little Yaakov comes home from school. How was your day? Fine. Abba says, the dad says, fine. Mom says, not fine, right? Like now I have to figure out what that is.
Bina we define as insight. Like a
deeper intuition, like being able to like understand what's going on behind the scenes. So fine. But it's a man's obligation to get married and to have children. Ladies, by the way, we're doing a chesed, we're doing kindness. But it's a man's. Thank you. You're welcome. It's a man's obligation to get married. And so God has to give the man the tools necessary to get married. So my husband says that God gave them a tablespoon of Bina, of this intuition, just to the area of dating. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's my rib, let's get married. Like right away. How they sense this, it's mysterious to me. Like it's not just attraction. My husband like understood who I was within 5 minutes of speaking to me. Like what my dominant traits are, that I met his deal breaker list. Like right away he understood this. Thank God he did not tell me right away. I would have thought he was crazy. But it took me weeks. And that's very typical. The model that I see most often in my coaching is the girl hears from either the matchmaker or the guy himself that he has clarity, whether this is date 2, 5, 10, whatever it is. He already knows, he's smitten, he's ready to put the ring on it. And she's like, what? I'm not even close to that. And then she's freaking out. I don't want to lead him on. I'm just going to break up with him. So now my job is to come in and tell her, if I were to interview him, and this is any guy on planet Earth, I don't care your religious persuasion, whether you're Jewish or not, if I were to interview every guy and say, this girl you've been dating who you're smitten by, there's a chance she's your wife, and there's also a chance that she might break up with you and break your heart. Choose your own adventure. What do you choose to do? Keep dating? Every guy will say, of course, what are you talking about? Like that's something I admire so much about masculinity, is this like bravery. There's a certain like commitment to one's principles that like if you meet the girl you want to marry, of course you're going to go for it. So then I explained to the girl, since if I interviewed him and he would say, yeah, let's keep going out, don't worry, he'll live to tell the tale if you break up with him. Let's keep going out till you get clarity, because that's what's important. And I really feel passionately that when we rush, we make bad decisions. Either way, right? We have definitely a onslaught of quickie divorces that have been happening, even in the religious community. And I think part of this is because we rush. We rush the girl.
The guy already knew he wanted to date, he wanted to marry her.
Right.
So, but is the divorce maybe happening because the woman jumped in too soon and she didn't have enough clarity and felt, okay, I'm desperate, I'm not getting married.
Right.
I'm getting older, I'm beyond my years.
Yes, 100%.
So if a woman feels more clear, from what I'm hearing from you, is that chances are they're pre-working on themselves and having more clarity on one another, there'll be less problems potentially.
We date until we have clarity, one way or the other. So my line is, when in doubt, we keep going out, which means if there's even a question in your mind, like, I'm not sure, go out another few times. Everyone will survive. Like, it's not the end of the world to go out another few times. I'll add even more to that. Not only will we make bad decisions and potentially marry the wrong person if we rush. I had a girl religious girl, she went out 5 times in the religious community. It's super typical to go out between, I would say, like 7 and 10 dates and get engaged. So she went out 5 times, and he was like, clarity, of course, and she was at 75%. So I said,
passing.
Yeah, it's a passing grade. I was like, I'm begging you, go out another 2-3 times. You'll see, you're going to feel more clarity, and then you're going to have a better engagement. Even if this is your husband, you'll have better engagement. Not everyone listens to me. She was getting a ton of pressure from her parents, and she got engaged on date 6. She had the worst engagement I've ever seen in my life. Therapists, rabbis, crazy, gonna break it off, not gonna break it off. Okay, she has 2 kids now, she's happily married. But I could have saved her, meaning it was the right guy. But had she gone out just another few times, she would have gotten that, I call it clarity in your kishkas, right? That deep clarity that this is my person that I'm meant to spend my life with. And I would have saved her like 2 months of anxiety and like off the chart craziness, right? So it's even more so than just marrying the right person. It's having like a calm engagement as much as possible and feeling like calm in your decision as opposed to rushed,
So just to sum up so far what we've said, because the original question was, what are you seeing today that people are, what's causing a lack of marriage? Is that, number one, you said social media, apps, things like that, too many choices, too much paralysis.
Yep.
And you said lack of clarity, and people are rushing.
Right. I think also, and the expectation that it's going to be instantaneous for a girl, for a woman, right? We don't have that. Usually a woman doesn't have that instantaneous clarity on date 1 or 2 that this is their person. I think also,
maybe to add to that, social media, just a level of superficiality,
yes,
materialism.
Definitely. And, again, because we are on social media and have watched a lot of movies, and everyone's like airbrushed, and filtered. So when we meet a real live person, like maybe he's losing a little bit of his hair. Maybe he, isn't that perfect curated vision.
You're looking for perfection rather than what's right.
A real person, right. So I always say, we're not looking for Mr. Perfect. We're looking for Mr. Perfect for you, which means he will hit all of the things that are really important to you, your needs, and the things that are like a little bit different than you thought you would end up with, you're good with, right? I did not think I was going to marry someone from a different culture. My husband is Russian. He came here when he was 5. I wouldn't have chosen that. And it is challenging because we have different styles of communication and our families have different styles of communication. So I'm not saying it's without its challenges, but of course I'm so happy I married him. And he also has a very different look than I thought I was going to end up with. Ladies, please do not pigeonhole yourself in terms of, the exact type that you think you're going to end up with. God is magical, and he will put the other half of your soul in a package that maybe you didn't think you would end up with, but it's perfect for you. And, we don't get engaged until we're excited. That's another thing I wanted to say is that, while it does take women longer, we don't want to make that decision to get engaged until you feel, I really am excited about this person. Now, you have to know yourself, because some women are like, oh my gosh, that type of person. So then, of course, they have to be uber excited about the person that they get engaged to. Other people are like, yeah, things are really good. I really like him. So then it's going to be like, I'm getting engaged. You have to know your personality, especially a lot of the younger girls that I work with. They're like, I don't feel what I saw my friend feel at her engagement party. I'm like, first of all, I'm making this up, but you don't know that your friend called me the night before the engagement party freaking out, potentially. I don't, obviously, I'm making it up. But I'm saying, like, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes, A. And B, she's a different personality. She's an oh my gosh type of person. So yeah, she's going to be freaking out. You're more calm and tempered, so that's going to be your reaction when you get engaged. Don't compare yourself to other people. We have to like have our eyes on our own page, you know. But I think that we sometimes, both men and women, get stuck in a very superficial criteria, right? So one of the things that I talk about in the book is having a deal breaker list. So this is my most important tool in coaching, and at home, you can make your own list. I actually offer a freebie if anyone wants to, if any women, I understand the male brain 100%, so I can't weigh in on that.
What do you mean? You've been married now for 20 plus
yeah,
years.
It's a mysterious place. But if any women want to reach out to me on social media or on my website and send me your deal breaker list, I'm happy to look it over and say, like, this is normal or not normal. So again, these are around 10 items, think the 10 commandments, that are non-negotiable for you. We're talking character traits and personality traits only. Okay, we're not writing height, we're not writing profession, we're not writing, I don't think we should write cultural background, although it's a personal decision whether you want to date outside of your culture.
Hold on to that.
Yeah.
Just for a second. I mean, we do live here, and let's say, you know, we're living here in LA. So I work with a big Persian Jewish community, you know, to speak Farsi at home, right, or to have gorba sabze, you know, like the right, food, you feel like, you know, it's like a glove that kind of fits. So I can maybe hear that people would want to.
Yes, totally. I mean, as we know, marriage, even when you come from a very similar background, is challenging. So then my father always used to say, you're going to add something else into that. You know, so if you're Jewish, marrying outside of Judaism. If you're Sephardi, marrying Ashkenazi. Yes. But I married outside my culture, and we're 27 years in. You know, so I think that the main thing we want to be looking for is like the deal breaker list, common goals and values, character. It's a very personal decision. I would never, quote unquote, convince a client to date outside of their culture. That's such a personal decision. It's up to you. But I would say that if you're 35, 40, you know, you're having trouble finding the right person, maybe that's something you could be flexible on. Particularly if your family is more Americanized, you know. But my in-laws speak Russian at home, and sometimes I'm there. And okay, I live to tell the tale.
You want to know a secret?
Yeah.
I married a Russian too.
I did not know that. I'm not sure if I knew that.
My wife moved here when she was 12.
Okay, so my husband was 5. So did she have an accent?
When she gets angry, but that's not often.
Okay, we could talk off record.
But yes, you've been talking about Russians this entire
so funny. Time. Okay, so you really get it. Okay.
My joke is I sleep with 2 eyes open.
Right, yes. That's so funny. Okay, so the deal breaker list is around 10 items that are non-negotiable. Character traits and personality traits, that's it. Once we see that this person has our list, they're checking it off, and our goals and values are aligned, and we enjoy being with them, and we're starting to get emotionally connected, then you're in the right game. You're in the ballpark. So I divide the deal breaker list into airborne peanut allergies and must-haves. How do you know what an airborne peanut allergy is? You feel a visceral reaction in your body. You're allergic to this trait. This usually comes from our family of upbringing. Okay, and we have to be very self-aware to know what are my triggers, what are things that I really just cannot compromise on under any circumstances.
For instance, somebody raises their voice.
Right. So if you grew up with a parent who had a temper, who was like a little bit easy to, you know, hot-tempered, you probably have a little bit of an allergy to that. And then you're going to want that on your list so that you're going to marry someone like I did who is very even-tempered and really like keeps his cool. Another example might be, what's another good example?
Of an allergy.
Like critical. Right? If you grew up with a parent who was highly critical, you're probably allergic to that, and you need someone who's like really complimentary, positive, like lifting you up, etc. So everyone's list is going to be different. Your allergies are going to be different. It's based on your family of upbringing and your dating history to some degree. If you were in a very significant relationship with someone who had one of these traits, that's probably also going to go on your allergy list. And then your must-haves are things that are just so important to you. You can't imagine spending your life with someone that didn't have this trait. So again, this is not a list of preferences. It's really just a list of items.
Must-haves, non-negotiables.
Yeah, I can't negotiate on this. And then that's going to be your GPS instructions.
So what was one of your must-haves?
Really warm and positive and zero criticism.
So it happens to be the must-have would also be
Yeah,
the
so
allergy.
I
probably,
try to get, sometimes it's better expressed in the negative. Like you're like, oh, this is my allergy, and you write that down. Sometimes something like the words that are encapsulating what you're looking for is more phrased in the positive. It doesn't matter to me. We don't want 5 and 5 identical, like just even-tempered temper. We don't want that. We want really 10 specific different items, but sometimes you'll just feel like it's better expressed positively or better expressed negatively. So
So is this your secret sauce that you use?
Secret sauce.
This is the main
This
GPS
is the template.
that you use with all of your clientele.
Yes.
And you'll just be like, you'll point back and be like, well, this is what you put, and therefore does the person that you're dating meet these needs?
Right. So oftentimes, look, the best way for someone to reach out to me is before they're in a relationship. Because as you can imagine, when you're already dating someone and you're already maybe emotionally attached to them, you can't be objective about your list. You're not going to be making a list at that point that's objective, because you're like, well, he's this, he's that, I could work with it. Okay. So the best way to make a list is before you're actually dating someone. However, sometimes people land on my doorstep when they're already in a serious relationship. This happens not infrequently. They're at the point of engaged or breakup, right? The guy already knows, right? Then the woman's like, I don't know. I could get engaged or I could break up. I'm really not sure. I'm freaking out. I'm anxious, da, da, da. And then their friend says, oh, I know this woman, Devorah Kigel. Why don't you reach out to her? She's a dating coach. So, they reach out to me. I'm been out for, 2 months, 3 months. I'm about to get engaged or break up. Do you have time today? I'm like, okay, I don't even know you. So it's really challenging. I actually charge an expedited fee for a situation like that, because otherwise my work-life balance would be insane. But if someone needs to speak to me, emergency, like I never met them before, I don't even know anything about them, and they need to get in to see me in that week, I charge an expedited fee. That's a recent thing I did because my life was just getting too crazy. So I have an intake session with them. It takes like an hour and a half. Family history, dating history, talk about the current relationship, make your deal breaker list. Then I'm like, well, it's interesting because, I see on your list this, and you just told me this. So now you have like 2 or 3 items on your list that he doesn't match. That's why you're confused. Like when we feel something in our gut, it's usually based on something real. Sometimes our body picks up on the information before our brain. So your body is like, I don't know, in my gut, I just feel like it's not right. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm feeling like really anxious. And our brain's like, I don't know, he matches everything. But then when you see in black and white, he's missing like the 2 most important things on my deal breaker list, that's why I'm feeling things are not right.
So you're very empirical, very data driven.
It's data driven.
That's
all
there.
Beautiful way to put it. It is data driven. I feel like I'm a computer and I'm just taking in the data. So another example of something I do is that I'm like going to hold you accountable. So when the girl comes back, it's very different than therapy where it's like an hour every week on Thursdays. That's not what I do. After the intake session, it could be we're on the phone for like 5 to 10 minutes after each date. It's very quick. We come home from the date. I'm taking notes. She's like, he said this and this to the waitress. Is that a red flag? So I'm like, that's a yellow flag. I write it in my notes, and we're going to circle back to that and see if there's a pattern. Oh, 3 dates later, he was rude to the parking attendant. 2 dates later, he said something to me that was not so nice. So now I have a pattern. It's data, right? I have a pattern that I've seen. If I wasn't there taking notes, the girl probably would forget the first 2 instances, or she would have brushed it under the carpet or not remembered exactly how rude he was. So then we're missing information. We're not seeing the patterns, and then we could get ourselves into a really bad situation. So I'm like holding you accountable. I'm like, oh, remember 3 dates ago when this and this? Did you follow up with that? Did you ask him about that in a nice way? That's also a very good tactic, bringing up, a concern that you have in a nice way and seeing how he reacts to that. Is he defensive? Does he gaslight you? Or is he like, oh my gosh, totally, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to do that. So we need to approach dating not like, a reporter, like taking notes on everything, but just being aware, paying attention. And, this leads into one of my favorite topics, which is that we cannot possibly collect appropriate data that's objective and thorough if we are drugging ourselves up with oxytocin and dopamine and all of the feel-good hormones.
What do you mean, Mrs. Kigel? What are you talking about? I don't really get it.
Right. So I have an entire chapter.
Talk about the taboo thing that's on the table right now, because people might just,
Yes,
this is a
I have a
PG-13 show, but
Right.
We might hit puberty at age 13.
We're going to morph into 13.
And
Yeah.
our bodies start changing.
Right.
And we start acting on our impulses, and we start becoming very googly-eyed for members of the opposite sex, and
who may or may not be your person.
And we act on our urges and
Right.
our desires, and
Right.
it feels good physically. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So I have a whole chapter in here called Dating with Dignity. And it basically enumerates with scientific data, with examples from my client base of why dating without the physical is crucial to making good decisions, particularly for women. So basically what happens is when a woman is physically involved with a guy in really any way, the more physical, the more oxytocin is released. We release this hormone amongst others. The love cocktail is like dopamine, adrenaline, oxytocin, something else I'm forgetting at the moment. And it's literally scientifically compared to your brain on cocaine, right? So we are literally drugging ourselves up with these hormones that suspend our rational judgment. The prefrontal cortex is like, I'm going to Aruba.
Checks out.
Checked out completely. And we're just like, oh, he's the best, right? I don't know, is axe murder a deal breaker? I feel like I work with that. I like projects, right? So we all know.
Because he's 6'2".
And he's gorgeous, and he's like so much chemistry. Okay, so anyone who's older than 20 probably realizes that that's not a great way to make good decisions, but it's difficult. And I said I spoke to high school girls last night, and I said, girls, like, if it's easy for you to do this, there's something wrong with the relationship. This should be difficult. That's how God made us. We're human, right? We're supposed to be attracted. However, if we get involved in that side of the relationship, we're going to be missing red flags. We're really not going to be able to date objectively. And we want to notice all these things. We want to make the right decision. We don't want to be in the 60% divorce rate. So I made a reel about this that went uber viral. But basically what I advocate for my clients who, let's say, are secular, and they've never heard of this concept before. By the way, this is why I became religious. Okay, I was an atheist, didn't believe in God, totally disconnected from Judaism, and my dating life was a train wreck. And when someone explained there's a Jewish way to date where you shelve the physical while you're getting to know someone, I was like, sign me up. That is genius. Okay, I may be the only woman on planet Earth who became religious because of this, but it was so appealing to me. I was like, this is so logical. It makes so much sense. It's so safe. It's so respectful to women. So I started doing that before I believed in God. So when I explain to my secular clients, this is what we're going to do, I'm realistic. I don't necessarily expect that they're going to not touch him till the chuppah, but I tell them, you have a bubble of opportunity here where you can be totally objective and weed through the guys who are either not marriage-minded, not serious, not interested in you for the right reasons, focused on the wrong things, only want one thing from you, aren't really focused on your soul, your character, etc., and to really be able to see, does this person align with my deal breakers, my goals and values, my Jewish level? You will see none of that if you're drugging yourselves up on all these love cocktails. So it's not easy, and it's not meant to be easy. The secret to success is keeping the Jewish law of what's called yichud, which means seclusion, which means you're basically never going to his apartment, he's never coming to your apartment, and you're never in the park at 3 a.m. Okay, if you do that, and you're always at a cafe, at a restaurant, at the museum, at the zoo, at the park at 3 p.m,
where other people could see you.
Right, you're in public.
You're not in seclusion.
You're not in seclusion, and therefore your inhibitions are going to be, right, you're not going to be, hopefully, unless the guy is socially off, you're not going to be doing really much of anything in public, and that keeps us, A, safe. Read the book. There are some horror stories in there. A, safe, and B, clarity and objectivity. This is really the only way to do it. So I don't give a number, right? There's actually a talk show host who's not Jewish who recommends 60 days, I think.
60 days.
60 days before physicality occurs. So I'm not going to be more lenient than that. Like, we're Jewish. Let's do more. But I really am realistic with my clients, and I'm super not judgmental. I have many clients who don't 100% hold to this, but my key push with them is in the beginning. In the very beginning, when you're getting to know him, shelve the physical. Be in public. You're going to see a lot more things that you need to see. And part B of this is obviously if a guy keeps asking you out, he wants to see you, he wants to see you twice a week, 3 times a week, he's very interested, and he's getting no side benefits, of course he really likes you for the right reason. And don't we all want that? Like, doesn't every woman want you want a guy who falls in love with her soul? So date with your soul, not your body.
Unbelievable. That might be a new thing that people haven't heard about.
Yeah, so I have a lot on social media about this, and it gets a lot of controversy when I post about this. But I think it just makes logical sense. We're human beings. We are a combination of a brain and a body and a heart. And the body can sway the heart, or the brain can lead the heart. So it depends on which direction you're leading from. We want to lead with the brain. So my line is we want to lead with the head and bring the heart and the hormones along after, not before. Right? We get our wires crossed. So we want to always lead with our head. Deal breaker list, common goals and values. Is he nice to me? Is he a growing person? Does he have a good heart? Do we align? Do I enjoy his sense of humor? Right? Like all of these things I want to be focused on. I'm not going to care if it's just all about chemistry, attraction, oxytocin, and like pitter patter.
I would recommend that everybody reads Mary Mensch, Timeless Jewish Wisdom for Today's Single Women. And you're going to get all the information that you need in this book. We got a very small dose of your insight, your wisdom, and I'm grateful.
Thank you.
If you could leave the audience with maybe one last closing remark, what would that be?
So part of my job is being what I call an Emunah cheerleader for my clients. Emunah means faith. And I really solidly believe from the bottom of my soul that God has your person picked out for you. So if you are having a hard time finding him or finding her for the guys, and you feel discouraged, like I felt before I met my husband, you feel discouraged, you feel people are telling you you're never going to find what you're looking for, matchmakers are saying you're being picky, your mother and your grandmother are saying you're being picky, and you're just like frustrated and you feel like, do I have to choose? Do I have to settle between a guy who makes sense for me and I'm not so excited about versus the guy that I'm excited about who like is all wrong for me? And that's a false dichotomy. There is a Goldilocks option. The third option right in the middle is a person who makes sense for you in terms of the things that are most important to you, and you're also really excited to spend your life with them. So don't give up and realize that God has your perfect person picked out for you. And don't give up on that. Don't settle. He's out there. She's out there.
Amazing. Thank you so much,
My
Mrs.
pleasure.
Kigel. I really appreciate your time,
You're
your
welcome.
wisdom, your candidness, and as you just said, may it be that everybody finds their besheret, their zivug, their partner, the right partner,
Right.
in the right time. Put in the work. If you put in the work and you're positive, then we believe that there's a God. God will hook you up. Wish you all a wonderful day. We'll see you again. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Right on 45.